Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to get started in a moment. Great. I see that the video or the audio is working. So today's topic is talking about an E-Trade solo 401k restatement. So we're going to go over the process and considerations to switch providers from an E-Trade solo 401k plan to a self-directed solo 401k plan, like with our company, My Solo 401k Financial. So just before we get started, I'll just mention, again, thank you for joining. I would encourage you to please ask questions. Please please give your comments in the comment feature on the YouTube player or however you're watching this video. If you're watching it as a recording, you can ask your questions in the comments of the recording, and we will get back to you within 24 business hours. So please also like this video. Please subscribe to our channel. We do weekly webinars, so you can get notifications of those webinars. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So again, we're talking about switching from a quote unquote free solo 401k that you might have through E-Trade to a self-directed solo 401k. So the reasons to switch, how to get more information about your situation. So just some of the top reasons we've got them highlighted here are, the ability to have 100% flat fee plan that's going to have all the features that are available, like the ability to do Mega Backdoor Roth, the ability to invest in alternative investments, like say cryptocurrency or real estate, the ability to have your account at hundreds of different banks, different brokerages, cryptocurrency platform, alternative investment platform. Finally, expert compliance support for no additional charge. So that's going to be all the expert support that you'll need, including preparing required tax forms and also just educating you on the rules, let's say, when it comes to investing in real estate. So let's dive in and go through this chart here, which is a very helpful chart to highlight some of those key differences. So the first column here is the features. Then we've got whether or not that feature is included with an E-Trade solo 401k, and then whether or not that's included with a self-directed solo 401k, like through our company, My Solo 401k Financial. So if you set your plan up at E-Trade, you're going to have to prepare your own plan documents. So they'll give you the documents, but you need to complete those documents. Whereas, of course, with our plan, we will pre-fill those documents for your business, and we'll draft it in a way, of course, to give you maximum flexibility to do all the things you want to do under the rules. Whereas with E-Trade's plan, you're limited as far as what you can do. And we're going to talk about some of those limitations here as we go through this list. The next item here, which is very important, one of the top reasons that people set accounts up with us is the ability to take a 401k participant loan. So just to define that briefly, that's the ability to borrow up to 50% of your balance, not to exceed $50,000. And you could use that loan for many purposes. You could use it to pay down a credit card bill, or to pay for your child's tuition, or to even use it as a down payment to buy a home. So whatever you really use it for, it doesn't matter. You are able to use it for whatever purpose you want. But in order for those funds not to be considered a taxable distribution, you have to satisfy the rules. So for example, the loan has to be documented. So we prepare all the required loan documents, like the payment schedule, the amortization schedule, the promissory note, et cetera, et cetera. And we do all of that automatically for no additional charge. We do it very quickly, no later than 1 business day. Whereas with E-Trade, you're going to be on your own to prepare those documents. And it's very important because it has to be prepared correctly in order for that to be a proper loan. If it's not a proper loan, then really what you're doing is taking a taxable distribution. So that could really undermine your intention and your objective. The next item here is checkbook control. So with an E-Trade plan, you're not going to have the ability to have checkbook control. over your money. So you would be limited to just investing in things that E-Trade allows for, like whether that's a mutual fund or some type of traditional investment. Whereas with our plan, a lot of our clients have their accounts at E-Trade, and we can talk about that in a moment, but they also might have a bank account, or they could have a brokerage account somewhere else in addition to that, or a cryptocurrency account. And so when they're investing in alternative investments, it's very important that they have checkbook control. Let's say that they want to buy a rental property. Well, they might need a checkbook to pay for renovation on that property. They might need a checkbook if you're lending money out, so you're investing in a promissory note. So with our plan, it's going to be set up, of course, where you have checkbook control over the money, and you don't have to come back to us for approval or anything like that. We're here to support you, of course, but no approval is required. With an E-Trade Solo 401k, the next item, you need to have an employer identification number for your business. So in order to open the account, whereas with our plan, you do not need an EIN number. So if you are a sole proprietor, you might be operating your business just under your social security number. You might not have an EIN number. So with us, you don't need to get an EIN number in order to open up an account. Whereas with E-Trade, you're going to have to do that. And of course, you're on your own to figure out how to do that. The next item, we've touched on this already, but just to really highlight it, the ability to invest in alternative investments is one of the top reasons that people set up accounts with us. So we are very well versed and have tremendous experience in terms of the mechanics of how to do that, whether that's notes, cryptocurrency, real estate, whatever the case may be, private placements, syndicated transactions. So if you have a quote unquote free solo 401k at E-Trade, you are not going to be able to invest in those types of investments. Of course, with our plan, you will be able to. And on top of that, you get the great support in terms of how to make those investments to ensure that you're doing it in accordance with the rules. The next item is the preparation of tax forms. So we've got a couple of examples there on the chart, 5500 EZ. So that refers to the form that is required once the balance of your account exceeds $250,000. So if you have an E-Trade Solo 401k, once the balance goes above $250,000, you are required to file a 5500 EZ. You might not know that though. E-Trade may not even tell you, right? And they're not going to help you fill it out. Whereas with our plan, we will complete and prepare that 5500 EZ as part of our services for no additional charge. Same thing with the 1099-R. So a 1099-R could be required, for example, if you're taking or it would be required if you take a distribution from your account, or let's say you do a rollover, like you want to convert money from a pre-tax account to a Roth account. So we prepare those forms as part of our services, again, for no additional charge. Mega Backdoor Roth. So that refers to the ability to really maximize the money that's going into your Roth account. So for example, for 2020, each participant in a solo 401k, provided that they have the self-employment income to justify it, could put as much as $57,000 or even $63,500 if they're 50 or older into their Roth solo 401k. So even though E-Trade's quote unquote free solo 401k allows for Roth contributions, you're limited to the employee contribution piece, which is really just the $19,500 for 2020 or $26,000. So you're not able to do the Mega Backdoor Roth, because in order to do the Mega Backdoor Roth, your plan has to allow for voluntary after-tax contributions. And on top of that, there's very important compliance steps that have to be followed. For example, contributing the money to a separate sub-account. And then when you convert the funds from the separate voluntary after-tax sub-account to the Roth solo 401k sub-account, that's a reportable event. So a 1099-R is required. So with E-Trade's plan, you're not going to be able to make those Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. Whereas with our plan, you will be able to. We're very well versed in how the rules work. and providing the necessary support and guiding you through it to make sure that it's done correctly. Finally, opening the account at hundreds of different banks, different brokerages, cryptocurrency exchanges, etc. Of course, E-Trade is giving you a free solo 401k because they want you to have the money there. So you're not going to be able to have your money anywhere else. So with our plan, you can have the money at E-Trade, but you could also have it, and we would prepare the paperwork to open up a free brokerage account at E-Trade for your solo 401k that you have through us, but you could also have it at a bank or a different brokerage or a cryptocurrency exchange, etc. And I see that we've got a question. Thank you so much for the question. So we'll stop and answer this question. Can I fund your Roth with funds from my existing brokerage account? So I understand that you have money that's in a non-retirement account, a brokerage account that's in your name, and you want to be able to make a Roth contribution to the solo 401k. So absolutely, yes, you can use money that's in a non-retirement account and put it into the solo 401k as a Roth contribution. Of course, you have to you have to be eligible to set up a plan. You have to have a plan that allows for those Roth contributions like ours does. You need to put it into a separate sub account for the Roth money, and you have to have the self-employment income to justify that contribution. So we, of course, would work with you to make sure that you are eligible and that you're able to make the contributions and guide you through the process to do it correctly. But absolutely, you can transfer money from your any type of non-retirement account that you have as a contribution. So hopefully that answers that question. Thank you so much for asking it. Please don't hesitate to ask more questions. Otherwise, we will keep going through these slides. So the next part of the presentation is talking about the mechanics of how to change plan providers from that E-Trade solo 401k to really a truly self-directed solo 401k like through us. So the first important concept to understand here is that your plan is not being terminated. So if you have that, so we have a lot of people that start out with a free brokerage account like at E-Trade, and then they want to convert over to our plan to take advantage of some of the great features that our plan offers, like the alternative investments or the ability to make Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. So in that scenario, the person already has a solo 401k. So it's important to understand that their existing plan is not being terminated, it's being restated. So the terminology is called a restatement. So essentially what's happening is their existing plan documents are being replaced with our plan documents. So they have their do-it-yourself E-Trade plan documents. Then we draft our documents to replace those or restate those documents. So when we do that, we want the restated documents to relate back to the original effective date of their existing documents. So we would need to know the original effective date of your existing plan and make sure that the documents are drafted, to reflect that it's really a restatement. The next item is we need to get an employer identification number for the 401k. So as is the case with the virtually all, or if not all, of the brokerages that offer solo 401k plans that are free plans, they do not get a separate, the brokerage firms don't obtain a separate EIN number for your 401k. So E-Trade doesn't either. The regulatory expectation is that a separate EIN number is obtained. And that is important because when you go and open up an account, say at a different, like at a bank, if the bank is paying interest, they're going to report that interest to the IRS. So it's going to be important that they report the interest with respect to the EIN number for the plan so that the IRS understands that that interest is being earned inside of a 401k and therefore tax deferred. Or let's say that you want to invest your money in a private placement. So you would need to provide that EIN number to the investment provider so that then when they issue you a K-1 for that private placement investment, it's really issued to the plan and under the plan's EIN number so that the IRS understands that the gains reported on that K-1 are tax deferred gains because they're inside of a 401k plan. And I see we've got some questions here. I really appreciate those questions. So we will answer those in a moment. We'll just finish the thoughts here on this slide. So continuing on with the process, we got the restated documents. You have the 401k EIN number. You will need to close your existing accounts and transfer the assets over to a new account. It could be a new account or accounts at E-Trade, or it could be a different brokerage firm or even a bank. So of course we will handle the transfer forms. So on the slide here, we mentioned the name of the form at E-Trade. They call it a QRP distribution request, and they'll also need a letter of acceptance. So we will prepare all the transfer paperwork. We'll prepare the paperwork to open up the new accounts. And you might be adding new accounts, right? If the reason that you're doing this because you want to be able to make a Mega Backdoor Roth contribution, then you'll need that voluntary after-tax sub-account. So it would be a new sub-account, and you might have multiple participants. Let's say it's a husband and wife that work in the self-employed business, and each person wants the ability to make pre-tax, Roth, and voluntary after-tax contributions. In that case, there would really be 6 accounts, 3 for each. And then the final point on this slide is that just to emphasize the fact that the existing plan is not being terminated. So that means that no final form 5500EZ is required, no 1099R is required, because again, the plan is not being terminated. The funds are not being rolled over to a new retirement account or a new retirement plan. So let's field this question. So does E-Trade hold my alternative investments like real estate and notes, or do they just hold my public stocks and index funds investments? So it's really the latter. So as I've mentioned a couple of times, with our plan, you can still have your money at E-Trade. So we would prepare the paperwork to open up a free brokerage accounts in the name of the plan for your benefit. So the funds that are in that brokerage account can be invested in things that E-Trade offers, like the public stocks and the index funds, right? But you could also invest in alternative investments. So you could transfer money directly from that E-Trade account to, say, fund a promissory note. So in that case, you would have a promissory note would have to be drafted that's payable to the plan. But you are not going to turn that paper, you're not going to turn that note over to E-Trade. You are going to hold it as the trustee of the plan. So the answer is no, E-Trade doesn't hold the alternative investments like real estates or notes, but they really just they're really just a custodian of the cash or those traditional investments that you have inside of your solo 401k. So let's keep going with some additional considerations in terms of the process of restating your plan. So one consideration here is, and thank you so much for the questions. We'll field those in a moment. So if your assets exceed $250,000 in your existing solo 401k that you have through E-Trade, a question here is whether or not you've been filing a Form 5500EZ. If not, then you might not have been, because maybe E-Trade didn't tell you and you really never knew. So, which is not totally uncommon. So in that situation, there is a process for you to bring your plan up to speed and file those late 5500 EZs. The IRS has a correction program to help you minimize the late fees. So because really those late fees on the surface could be quite high. Under the correction program, if you file under the correction program though, you can limit the late fees. It would be $500 per return, up not to exceed $1,500. So if you haven't done this for 5 years, you're not going to pay $2,500. You're going to be limited to the $1,500. The next important consideration here is, do you want to keep your existing investments? Do you want to do an in-kind transfer? So in that case, you can certainly do that, because your plan is, you're just restating the plan under our plan documents. You can still keep all your existing investments, but the account that you have your money in and your investments in needs to be shut down because it's no longer a plan through E-Trade. So if you want to keep some of your investments, what you could do is you could just have a new E-Trade account underneath the solo the restated solo 401k, and then do an in-kind transfer. And we would prepare the paperwork to do that from your existing E-Trade solo 401k to the new account for the restated plan. Are there multiple participants like spouses? So in that case, it's important that the right number of accounts are set up. So we had a quick example on the prior slide where you had a husband and wife. Let's say a husband and wife have a realtor business. They're both participating in the plan. They both want to make pre-tax, Roth, and voluntary after-tax contributions. In that situation, each person is going to have 3 sub-accounts for a total of 6. So it's very important that the funds are kept segregated, both between participants and type of funds. So you're not putting pre-tax and Roth funds into the same sub-account. You have them in separate sub-accounts. And then finally, a good practical consideration here is filing an extension. If you are doing this right before, say, a deadline to make contributions. So it would be helpful if you have the ability to file an extension to give yourself more time to make those contributions, because it does take some, it might take, maybe a couple weeks potentially to set up the new accounts and do the transfer. All depends on, the processing times at E-Trade. So let's field the follow-up questions here. So I want to keep the money at E-Trade. So you would help set up an account at E-Trade in the name of the trust you set up. Are the checks written against the E-Trade 401k or E-Trade Bank? So great question. And can I do multiple conversions over time? So let's take one at a time here. So yes, if you want to keep your money at E-Trade, you can absolutely do that. You would need to close that existing account though, and then transfer over the cash and or the assets over to a new account at E-Trade. So we would prepare the paperwork to open up a free brokerage account that's really just in the name of the new plan, or I should say the restated plan. If you have, say, pre-tax and Roth money, there'd be 2 new sub accounts. And then we would prepare the paperwork to open up those 2 new accounts at E-Trade. And then the paperwork to transfer the cash and assets over. The 2 accounts at E-Trade are going to come with a checkbook. So the checkbook is really against that 401k account. So if you have cash in that 401k account, now that new account is governed by our plan documents, our IRS approved plan documents, which allow you to invest in alternative investments. You can invest in a note. You could write a check from that E-Trade account to fund the note. Like if you want to lend money to your neighbor or some other unrelated person where they're promising to pay back your 401k, and you write them a check out of that account to fund that note. And I see we got more questions here. Thank you so much. We'll get to these here in a moment. Let's keep answering the first person's question. Can I do multiple conversions over time? So once you've restated the plan, you do need to move everything over. By conversions, I'm assuming you're meaning pre-tax to Roth or after-tax to Roth. So the answer is yes, you can do multiple conversions. We handle that conversion process. So we guide you through it each time, provide you forms so each conversion can be documented. And then if you're doing multiple conversions over 1 year period, all of those conversions would be aggregated on one single 1099-R to report that conversion, whether it's an after-tax to Roth conversion or a pre-tax to Roth conversion. The next question, does your team complete the E-Trade brokerage forms? Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we do automatically as part of our services. We're doing that every day for our customers who are looking to open up brokerage accounts. And of course, we're well versed in having those accounts, preparing those forms. They're all pre-filled out. You basically just have to sign them. You can download them from our secure portal and then upload them back to our secure portal. We'll review it and compile it so it can be submitted to E-Trade. Can I transfer an existing E-Trade individual 401k to a self-directed solo 401k? Great question. So an existing E-Trade individual 401k is really just their name for an E-Trade solo 401k. So that's exactly what we've been discussing, is restating or converting an E-Trade individual 401k to a self-directed solo 401k like the 401k plan that My Solo 401k Financial offers. Okay, let's talk about the compliance support. So we've touched on a number of these items, but just to really underline it, so the Form 5500 EZ, we will absolutely prepare that as part of our services. That's going to apply once the balance exceeds $250,000, and that's measured every December 31st. So once you're above that threshold, the 5500 EZ is due. It's due by the following July 31st. And I see we got some more questions coming in. Thank you so much. I'll answer these in a moment. So 1099-R, that would be due in the situation where you're doing a distribution, a rollover, an in-plan conversion. Again, we handle that as part of our services. Required plan updates. So there's a major update on the horizon. At this point, it's likely going to be in 2021. That is going to be handled automatically for your plan as part of our service. We don't charge any extra fee to handle that. And so you can know that your plan is being updated. For major updates like that update, or just normal, more minor updates that come up periodically. Contribution calculation. So as we mentioned, Mega Backdoor Roth is one of the top reasons that people want to set up accounts with us. Calculating that contribution is sometimes not straightforward for people that is not as well versed in it as we are. So we field questions every day and helping you figure out exactly how much you can contribute, how to report it. We have webinars that we provide, deep dive sessions, so you can really understand exactly how it works. Loan document preparation. So that's another top reason that people set up accounts with us. It's very important from a compliance perspective. So you not only have to have a plan that allows for a 401k participant loan, but the loan has to be documented. So we handle that. We do it very quickly within one business day, no additional charge. Alternative investments. So that's the real estate, the notes, the cryptocurrency, private placements. So all of those things are allowed under our plan. And we also provide tremendous educational support, whether it's on our website, webinar sessions, or just, fielding questions from you on email or over the phone every single day, like we do. And then finally, account setup. So it's very important that the accounts are set up correctly, under the name of the plan, under the EIN number, those separate accounts for different participants, or separate accounts for different types of funds. So we handled the forms. We will be on the phone, say with your banker, or guiding you through how to do it at a particular platform like a cryptocurrency exchange. So thank you again for the question. We have another question here. I have an LLC already. Can I use the LLC, or is it best to set up a new trust as the owner? So that's a great question. So that's really the foundation of setting up a plan. So in order to set up a plan, you have to be self-employed. Now, you don't necessarily need to have a separate entity for your business. For example, we have many, many customers who are sole proprietors. So they have unincorporated businesses, right? They just might be using a DBA, or maybe even not even a DBA. So all of that is fine in terms of qualifying. What's really most important is that you are self-employed, you're reporting earned self-employment income on your taxes, and you don't have any full-time W-2 employees working for you. So if you already have an LLC and that's what you run your business through, that's how you report your earned income, your earned self-employment income, then that would be the appropriate entity to use. So you wouldn't have so even though a 401k is a retirement trust, you don't need a separate second trust to sponsor that trust. Really, that wouldn't even be appropriate. Really, what you need is you're either sponsoring it as a sole proprietor, or you're sponsoring it through the entity that you run your business through, whether that's an LLC, for example, or maybe an S corporation, or a partnership, or a C corporation. So thank you so much for the good questions. So please don't hesitate to ask more questions. We have plenty of time to go through them. I'll just highlight here that if you want to get more specific information, you can contact us at business@mysolo401k.net. You can call us at 1-800-489-7571. I thank you so much for participating in today's session. Please like this video. Please subscribe for more videos like this. You can ask questions in the comments if you're watching as a recording. I don't see any more questions coming in. So thank you so much again, and have a great day.